Okay, so Cenat is receiving quite a bit of backlash for his Streamer University event because the overwhelming amount of people that have been accepted for this 5-day event have been Black and East Asian, I would say. Like, I was watching the first day of it when he was allowing the students to come into his office to collect their keys for the domes or whatever, and you could have told me this was an audition for the next Rush Hour movie and I would have believed you. The amount of Black people and Chinese people that were coming through that door. But what this has done is it's caused a bit of backlash because there's not a lot of Mexican and white representation in regarding to this event.
Hey, Cenat, I got a question for you, bro. How come you didn't let no white boys into the Screaming University?
You're not Black!
You're not at Streamer University! 82.5% of acceptances were Black. Not that there's a problem.
Just saying.
I like that shit's racist. All my life, I don't know why nobody says it, probably because they're too scared. All my life, that shit is so fucking racist. Why didn't Brady Goo get chosen? Why did any white streamers that have been like, any white streamers, I ain't gonna lie, is there any white streamers that are popping though?
Not Wendy, not Evan, not Johnny, not Chuzington. Only 2 streamers. Not you. You don't even do nothing. What do you do?
What I would say on this matter is, a lot of people will whittle this down to just out-and-out racism. For a lot of people, that's just the easy explanation for it. I personally think that response is quite lazy. And I've done a few videos on what I'm about to say, but I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it until people start to pick up something other than just this blanket term of racism. Human beings invest in things that they can see themselves in. So what I mean by that is, take Cenat, for example. I've never really watched his streams. You know, his type of what he does on Twitch, these live streams, it's not really what I'm into. But from what I have seen and from what I have clicked on, it's a young Black lad who to me seems riddled with ADHD, and he's got his Black friends around him, and they will sit there, be doing all type of crazy events while chanting the word every chance they get. But it's overwhelmingly him being a Black man, his friends that are majority all Black, and you know, a lot of the Black women, and they're just doing their thing. So it doesn't surprise me that out of these 120 applicants, that the mass amount of people that are there are going to be people of color. He's naturally warming to what he's always around. Now, I get it, in the world that we're living in with diversity and all of those stuff, you would assume everybody's just going to have, for example, 120 people. You could have done 20 Black people, 20 white people, 20 Asian, 20 Mexican. Like, you could have done it that way if you really wanted to. But it wouldn't have been realistic because he's investing in the imagery that he's around constantly. The East Asian thing, I don't have an explanation for that. Maybe he's got some form of connection to that side of the world. However, Mexican people, if they're upset, or white people that are potentially upset about this, just ask yourself the fundamental questions. If you guys were doing a streaming university, wouldn't you guys have the majority people there overall, Mexican or white? Wouldn't you guys do the same thing? Because I'm not going to pretend like I watch a load of Mexican streamers or whatnot, right? But from what I have seen, and I'm pretty adamant, if I searched up a load of these well-known Mexican streamers in America, I'm going to see an overwhelming amount of Mexican people hanging around with Mexican people, okay? And I'm not going to see a load of Black people that they're hanging around within their team. You know, I've seen a few clips. There's a lot of these guys that just hang with their own people, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Most people can relate better to people that they've grown up with, people that have been in same households, similar type parents, similar jokes growing up, you know, culture. A lot of people latch on to their culture, and a lot of the time people are struggling to understand that it's not just racism when you're not involved, it's just human beings investing in what they look like and what they warm to the most. Not everything's based on racism. So when you've got Cenat overwhelmingly putting Black people on, please understand as well, I'm not saying Kai has done this because he's just naturally just warming to what he looks like. There was a time, a good few years back, when Twitch was just like, on the front page was just overwhelmingly white people. And I've got no issue with that, you know? White people are the populace. Naturally, white people are going to want to pay attention to white people. Human beings investing in what they can see themselves in. But then Cenat came along and I Show Speed, and they were just a hit, and they soared through the algorithm. But what they've also brought as they soared through the algorithm is themselves paying attention to themselves a lot more than paying attention to others. The same way white streamers would pay attention to themselves, and the same way the Mexican streamer would pay attention to themselves. What I'm basically trying to say is, if a white person made streaming university university or a Mexican person made streaming university, you would see the same thing Kai Cenat's doing. It would have been an overwhelmingly amount of Mexicans in the streaming university because their community or their culture or family and friends would have asked for this. And if it was white streamers, you would have seen similar the same thing. I believe where Kai Cenat has done the cross comparison of doing black and East Asian, white people probably would have done white and black, all right? But it's not necessarily racism. It's human nature to invest in what you look like. And we need to start talking about it more rather than just jump into racist outrage, you know? I did see a clip though of a female streamer saying that one of the reasons why Kai Cenat didn't bring a load of Mexicans was due to the language that they use regarding a lot of black Americans use as a term of endearment with each other.
But like, I don't think people understand, like, the reason he didn't invite the bigger like Hispanic streamers that we know is because literally 90% of them say the N-word.
I don't talk about these bitches. I don't talk about these niggas. I'm just getting to these figures. OnlyFans is getting
Nigga. I'll say nigga if I nigga. Nigga, am I lying?
Like, they're on camera, on live. They know they're being recorded and they say the N-word. They like continuously say the N-word. So I don't know what people expect from Kai Cenat if that's what our Hispanic creators do.
Again, I've not really watched any Mexican streamer, I haven't. But if this is true, can you imagine if you brought a load of Mexican dudes amongst a load of black people at this streaming university campus, wherever they're doing it, and then one of them starts saying the N-word, or one of them tries his best to not say it, but then slips up, or you've got a confident Mexican who just says it outright, and then a fight breaks out because there's a select few amount of black people that are not tolerating a Mexican saying that word, it can get very controversial, you know? It might cause a level of danger to certain individuals. And at the end of the day, this is still a business. It's still somewhat of a reality TV show. I get it. Everybody wants to see inclusion of themselves. This is where we get our dopamine from. That nice feeling, you know? It helps with insecurity when you see yourself, you know? It makes you feel better. When you don't see yourself, insecurities kick in and it makes you think, why am I not there? That's every race. That's every person. It doesn't matter. We love seeing images of ourselves. But sometimes you've just got to understand where the person is coming from. Kai Cenat is a black kid from the hood who's become incredibly popular, who's, if you look at his streams, it's overwhelmingly been young black men doing ADHD shit with a mixture of black women amongst them. For him to then do an event to bring in a load of people that he's not usually around, that's not really realistic. He's doing what's been happening throughout history, pretty much my whole entire life to begin with. I can just give you an example of, say, computer games, okay? The games that I love, that I've grown up on, I couldn't even count to you on my hand the number of leading roles that the main character is somebody of color. You know, Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil, Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid, Link from The Legend of Zelda, Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy, Mario from the Super Mario franchise. If it's not some form of cuddly animal that I'm controlling, or a character like Sonic, it's usually a white male I'm controlling. And I've got no problem with that. Reason being is because I know the majority of game developers throughout the past has been white males. Japanese as well, but Japanese like making characters white males. So the two main developers throughout the majority of the planet, Japanese and white people, they've made imagery of themselves. That's what human beings do. It's not necessarily racist. It's just you naturally create images of things that look like you. That's where you get your dopamine from. So all Kai Cenat's done is naturally latched on to what he's been doing throughout his whole streaming career. Abrasive, crazy, outlandish events involving his black friends and black people, okay? The East Asian link, I don't know what that is, you know? Maybe somebody else can put that in the comment section and, you know, maybe I need to do my research on that. But he's just done what most human beings do. Would I like there to be more inclusion? Yeah, but he's ultimately latched on to the culture that made him popular. That's being in a room surrounded by black people doing wild, young, black, energetic things. However, the people that I well and truly feel sorry for is all those people that stood in those lines for hours and hours on end when really they weren't even going to stand a chance to get into Stream with You. They were just there for, I don't know, camera fanfare.
I'm not watching that shit. I wasted fucking 6 hours fucking off, looking stupid, trying to see my name being called. Yeah, it was a waste of my fucking time. Fuck that shit. Yeah, it's a scam. It's a scam. It's rigged. When I went to the in-person one, I already knew it was rigged and it was a scam because a lot of people went there early as fuck. A lot of people even spent 2 days being there so they could be first in line. And they didn't even let those people in, even though they were like, first in line type of shit. But they let certain people in.
The Mexicans that stood in them lines, I fully understand why yous are upset for sure. I've said enough. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Give me your honest opinions in the comment section, all right?